Hello. So today I'm going to give you initial impressions for a few perfumes that I got from Solinotes. So these are all PR, so thank you so much to Solinotes for sending these over to me. I'm really excited to try them. And I've been curious about their fragrances for a while. I've noticed in the last few fragrances that I've tried that there's been notes here and there that I don't like, and I'm kind of hoping that these perfumes are a little bit more simple, maybe just a little bit more like fruity floral and less spicy, less woody, because I think that those are more likely things that I'm going to wear. But let's go ahead and open these up and see what I think about these. Right, so here's everything out of the packaging. And I flipped all of these to the side where you can see the notes. So hopefully you can read those. I will be reading those out along with what I can actually smell when I sample these. So don't worry if you can't see these, but in case you can, they're here for your reference. So I just want to say, as I got these out of the packaging, this one in particular smells really nice to me. Very, very fruity, very sweet smelling. But I guess something that I didn't expect from these is I really love the packaging. The packaging is this very heavyweight glass. And I think even, okay, so the tops are plastic. But they still feel like there's not too much weight to them, but they don't feel cheap. The rest of this feels very nice. And I don't know why, but I was expecting these to look and feel kind of cheap. And I think that the way that they are translating on screen isn't doing them justice either. So this might be more of a thing that you can appreciate in person, but these don't look cheap in person. And I say that because these are around the $25 mark for a full-size perfume, which is what these are, which is very affordable in comparison with some of the other perfumes that I have. Like one of my travel perfumes, like the travel size, not the full size, is $80. So all that to say is I think that this packaging for the price point is really lovely, and I personally really like how they look. All right, so let's get into the smell test for this. And I'm just gonna go in this order. So first is going to be the pomegranate, then the cherry blossom, and then the tonka. So I have a few little paper strips that just have the names on them so that I don't get them mixed up. Let's go ahead and smell the pomegranate. All right, so I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit on the paper, but just reading from the notes, it looks like it opens with citrus and cardamom, and then the middle notes or heart notes are blackberry and pomegranate, and then the base notes are musk and sandalwood. And I like how this opens a lot. It really does. I can smell the citrus a lot, which I really enjoy. And there is like a very sweet spice note in there in the background. I assume that's the cardamom. But whatever smell that is, I really like. So right now at the opening, the smells very fresh. It's very citrusy and fruity and kind of fresh, but there's nothing about it that could give me a headache. And I think that's a big problem with a lot of the fresh scents that I've smelled before, is they tend to be headache inducing for me. So this one, I really like the opening. I'm going to come back to all of these once I've sprayed all of them and smell the dry down a little bit. And please remember, these are all first impressions. I am going to come back and probably do an individual video on each one of these, just so you can just watch the individual ones that you want to. Just taking another sniff there. And I do think that I can kind of smell like the musk coming through. Maybe it's the sandalwood. I'm not very good at determining individual notes. But yeah, I think that what I'm smelling from this is it's less fruity and less sweet than I expected from this, but it's really nice. All right, so let's go to cherry blossom. All right, so I went and smelled that like right as it hit the paper, and it's a little bit more alcohol-y than the last one. That's interesting. It's almost like you see how like much more watery it is? That's interesting. All right, so I'm gonna let that sit for a tad, and we're going to go over the notes here. So this is supposed to open with tangerine and cardamom. So somewhat similar to this, a different citrus though. And then middle is cherry and raspberry. And then the base is apple and musk. Oh, that's interesting, having apple base note. This one I don't smell as much as the pomegranate. It is still fresh, but there just isn't much to it. I don't smell it on the paper very much. It just doesn't really smell like anything. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and spray this on myself. I'm just wondering if it's going to smell a lot different on skin, especially since my skin in particular does tend to change scents. Yeah, I don't think I like the sprayer that much on this one. It seems to not give a nice spray. I wonder why that is. I wonder if I need to mix up this one. There we go. Okay, I got a decent spray off screen. It's still very watery by comparison. Like, I mean, they're all watery, but this seems to come out more when I spray it. Yeah, I'm still not smelling this very much on my skin. We'll come back to this, but as of right now, I don't really get much of a scent out of this. It's very light. Well, more like non-existent, but I can't smell this right now. All right, so let's go to the Tonka, and I've heard a lot of good things about this one in particular. I think this tends to be one of their highest rated perfumes, so we'll see how this does. So one thing that I'm noting with these in comparison to some of my other perfumes that I have is I don't think that these are great sprayers. The sprays in these seem to be like shooting out water rather than like spraying it. Like you're getting more of a focused spray rather than a diffused one. And I don't know if that's by design. I feel like most perfumes you want a more diffused spray, but I think that might be coming in more with the price point of these. I think that might be where you're losing a little bit, is in the actual sprayers. But coming back to Tonka, so this is, so just out of the bottle, like just sprayed on, this smells really nice. And there's something about this that reminds me of Coca-Cola. Like not intensely so, but it's kind of like if you have like a vanilla Coke. That's kind of what it smells like to me. But reading off the notes, so the top of this is mandarin flower. Mandarin flower. That's interesting. The middle notes are vanilla and tonka bean, and then the base notes are amber and musk. I don't know if I get mandarin flower out of this. Like I have a mandarin tree, and I know what a mandarin flower smells like. And it doesn't smell like that. It doesn't smell like a citrus flower of any sort. I kind of get the vanilla and tonka bean. And I kind of get the musk. I don't know if I smell the amber that much, but just smelling it off of this, my impression is of like a vanilla Coke. Like very faint. It's not very strong. It's very faint. But it does smell kind of nice. Now, the more I smell this, the more I kind of smell the amber coming through, and I do worry that on my skin that the amber would take this over, and that's just something that I've noticed with my own skin, is anything that is more warm or spicy or masculine, when I put it on my skin tends to take those notes and dial them up by 1,000, which can kind of interfere with the balance of the perfume. So we'll see if I like this one on my skin when I've had a bit more time with it. But just right out of the gate, it smells nice. So I'm going to go back to the beginning with pomegranate and see if the dry down smells much different. So smelling it now, I can kind of smell more the fruits and the floral. Or I should say I smell more of the floral. I can still smell the fruits, but it's more floral forward. And the florals really mesh with the musk in this. And maybe there's sandalwood in the background, but it's not very strong. Overall, this smells very, very fresh and light and fruity to me. This smells really nice. I could see this maybe changing on someone's skin to be very sweet and very fruity. Like if your skin chemistry really holds on to those notes and really amplifies those notes, I could kind of see this maybe going too sweet on some people or just simply smelling more like a body mist. I mean, I think I would like that, but my skin does not hold on to those notes. So I'd be interested to see on what this smells like on my skin. But right now, this is actually coming across as very fresh, floral with some fruits. It's just very fresh. There's nothing about it that is bad, but it's just not very strong. So again, I would need to try this out on my skin to see what it smells like. So coming back to Cherry Blossom, I can smell it a bit more on the paper now. It still doesn't smell like very much, but I do get a it does smell like a flower with some cherry to it. I don't know if it smells exactly like cherry blossom, but there is a really nice soft floral note to it. And I think what I'm really smelling in here is maybe, I kind of smell the apple. Like this kind of smells like if an apple was a flower. I think that's what I'm mostly getting from it. Not necessarily like apple flowers. Those have their own smell to them, but it's an appley scent that has a floralness to it, but it really smells more like a very light apple scent, which I kind of like. Now let's see what it smells like on my skin. Ooh. Okay, so I think that these are things that I need to try it on my skin, which, you know, it's perfume. That's what it's meant for. On my skin, I smell the musk a lot more. It's like an appley musk, but there's definitely that flower floral scent too. And I will say on my skin, it does give more of a scent that reminds me of an actual cherry blossom. It's still very appley for a cherry blossom, but it does have that very light, soft, floral scent. And there is a cherryness to it, which I don't smell on the paper, but I smell on my skin. So yeah, this, I think this one is aptly named Cherry Blossom. It does not smell exactly like a cherry blossom, so I think if this is a kind of smell that you go for and that you are very well versed in, you might not like this. But I think if you're just looking for something that is fresh and floral, but like not too floral, like a very soft, a little bit sweet, floral, and you like an apple note, this is very nice, and I like it. I like this a lot, actually. I think these are all things that I'm going to have to try out on my skin, but this has been very interesting, just going through them. So this is going back to the Tonka. Okay, so it's stronger now, but honestly, like I could go through the notes and everything, but honestly, it still smells like a vanilla Coke to me. Like if you enjoy like a vanilla Coca-Cola, it doesn't have any fizziness to it, but like this is what I imagine that the syrup that they put into the fizzy water to make it taste like vanilla Coke, that's what this smells like. Now, it's not very syrupy. There is a sweetness to it, but it's vanilla Coke. This is vanilla Coke flavor to me. So yeah, these are really interesting, and I'm really excited to try these out. I would say just going off of how they go on paper, this one is very fresh, floral. I could see this turning sweet on someone's skin. I could see this turning very fruity on someone's skin. We'll see what it does on mine, but I think, you know, if you're someone whose skin chemistry doesn't do very much to perfumes, this is very light, very fresh, very floral in a very soft way. And then this one is kind of like this one, honestly. These two are somewhat similar to me in the vibes they give off. This one is also very soft. Not as sweet, more just floral. Except I guess you have that apple note come in here, but it's a very, it really is like if an apple was a flower. It's not a very strong apple scent, but if an apple, like if a flower smelled like an apple, that's what this smells like. It's very subdued, it's very light, it's very soft. It does a little bit more on my skin, but I kind of expect both of these are going to be pretty soft on most people's skin, unless your skin makes things very sweet, and then this one could turn very sweet, I think. This one, I'm really interested to see what this is going to do on my skin. On the paper, it smells like vanilla Coke, which sounds amazing to me. So once I have a chance to go through all of these and wear and try them out, I will come back and let you know what I think.
Hey, so this is editing me here, and I've worn all of these on my skin now, and they do turn a little bit differently on my skin than how I've described them here. So the pomegranate one does turn fairly sweet on my skin and pretty juicy. I think on the paper it smelled more dry, if that makes sense. It didn't smell as sweet, but on my skin it definitely became juicy and sweet, which I really appreciate. I still think it's a fairly subdued smell. I didn't find it overwhelming, and I do think that it would be a good summer fragrance. In the same way, I think that the cherry blossom one, it also stays very light, but I do think it does stay true to how I described it here, where I said that it smells like if an apple was a flower. That's kind of how it stays on my skin. It's very subdued, not a lot of scent in it. There's no projection. Or well, I should say that there's no projection of that smell. There is a projection of a white floral smell that I don't like, and it can give me headaches sometimes. It's not super strong, and I do think for some people that could also be a good summer scent, but I don't personally like it because of the white florals in it. And also, the apple note on my skin just does something weird, and it almost smells like sweat. Have you ever known someone who smells kind of sweet when they sweat? That's kind of how it smells like on my skin. I don't enjoy it. But it's not a bad smell, it's just not for me. And then the Tonka, I think, was kind of a disappointment on my skin. In the bottle and on paper, it smelled, like I said, like a vanilla Coke, and I was super excited for that. And unfortunately, on my skin, it became quite musky and very strong. And there was a lot of that amber in there too, so it became very warm smelling on my skin, and I didn't like that. And really, everything that I enjoyed about it on paper and out of the bottle, it didn't translate to my skin at all. So I was disappointed in that. And I will still make videos of these three. I need to wear them some more anyway, but I did want to come back around and give you guys some descriptions of what these smell like on the skin, since I did not do that in this video. Um, so yeah, I hope that helps.
So if you have any questions or anything in particular that you would like to know about these, let me know below. I'm happy to answer your questions. And thank you so much for hanging out and watching this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.